Hello and welcome to the Owlet playoffs and our minors quarterfinals matchup between ExPandable Odyssey and Quantum Charge. I'm Spaceman and I'm joined by the wonderful Nekkra and Pulse. And Nekkra, we may be at the playoff stage right now, but this isn't the first time that these two teams have faced off against each other.
No, so Owlet has 2 stages of play, each 5 weeks long, which means that ExPandable Odyssey and Quantum Charge have met each other twice before. The first time was pretty close between the two teams, both of them kind of just getting started with an Owlet. We did have ExPandable Odyssey that ended up winning 3-2 within that matchup, but we had Rialto go to a 6-5, and we also had Anubis go to a 4-3, so they're in for maybe some long maps. In stage 2, though, we did see ExPandable Odyssey step up their game versus Quantum Charge, and they ended up winning 4-0.
And Pulse, I think you had the pleasure of casting a couple of those matches. So some of those maps are pretty close, weren't they?
Yeah, a lot of the scoreline was very close between the two teams. A lot of it was like 3-2, 1-0. So in scoreline, it looked very close. In actually casting it, I'd say it was a little stacked towards ExPandable Odyssey. Just they looked a lot more coordinated. This was during sort of end of peak GOATS meta, so they were very coordinated with their grabs and diva bombs. They even pulled out a little bit of a bunker comp that looked very well coordinated, and they managed to full hold Horizon. So I expect some really good coordination from this minor team.
Well, we are in the playoffs now, and the structure's a little bit different because this is going to be a best of 4 with a potential 5th map tiebreaker. Also, we are on the most recent patch, but we're not going to be seeing Baptiste in the playoffs here. So, Nekkra, what compositions do you expect to see from Quantum coming out in this matchup, given the patch and the lack of Baptiste as well?
Well, the patch did something really special for DPS players within Overwatch, and that is enabled them to be actually played within the game. So I do expect that Quantum Charge is going to bring out some of the more DPS specialized players into this matchup to see if they can utilize some of those changes to great effect.
And Pulse, what do you think we're going to see from ExPandable coming out into this matchup?
I've been dreaming a little bit of bunker comps. I'm not a huge fan of them myself, but they have been very strong in a lot of ladder games, and you've even seen them at Overwatch level or contenders level. We don't have the option of Baptiste, so there are things you can throw in there like a Moira. You can throw in Moira, Lucio, Moira, Mercy. So there might be scuffed versions of some comps that you might be familiar with, but I fully expect to see some of that. I expect to see a little bit of GOATS just because ExPandable more or less perfected that at the minors level. But I've also seen Seguli play some really good McCree. I've seen some good Pharah play. So 2-2-2s are very standard for these squads as well.
Well, there's only one way to answer all this speculation, and that's to get underway into the match. So I'm going to leave it with you two here to get away with that casting, and I'm going to come back at halftime and we can have a bit of a chat about what we're going to see in these first 2 matches.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Spaceman. And the very first match of tonight is going to be on Lijiang Tower. These 2 squads, like you said, Pulse, are probably going to end up doing something like a 2-2-2 composition. And looking at the roster that Quantum Charge is starting out with, I actually expect to see quite a bit of Widowmaker and Pharah play, setting up some crossfire to be able to spam some damage down onto point.
Yeah, and as we're loading into this, one of the big keystones of the last matchup that I casted between these two teams was very large bombs from Jax on ExPandable. But also we saw some weird, crazy stuff come out from Quantum Charge, namely Nanorocket has a really good Symmetra. And that's something to keep in mind. We've also seen plenty of Widow play, a lot of hit scan. And when I think of Lijiang, my first reaction is always Pharah, just because of how good Pharah is on all 3 maps of Lijiang. But it really comes down to teams' preferences. And we are going to be starting with Night Market.
Well, Night Market has those beautifully high skyboxes that you're talking about, so it wouldn't surprise me to see that Pharah, but that's not what we're going to get. As that team preview shows us, ExPandable Odyssey and Quantum Charge are actually going to run a mirrored GOATS composition. It is that triple tank, triple support lineup with the Zen and the Rhine variant. So talk me through which team you think is going to have the upper hand when it comes down to this matchup.
Last time they faced off, it was definitely ExPandable Odyssey getting ahead of every single fight. So it's really on Ice-T to make sure that they can keep the shield up, that it doesn't get braked. So shield management's a really big key, especially on Night Market. And the team that gets control of point first is generally going to have a pretty big advantage on Night Market.
Well, it is going to be Quantum Charge that rotates towards the point first, which means that Expandable Odyssey is going to have to find a way to get aggressive and break the defense that Quantum Charge is setting up here. Expandable Odyssey is getting very, very low, though, especially Melchizy, who is just that Reinhardt in the front line, trying to get as much damage off of his team as possible. Melchizy is going to be able to take out that AoE healing, though, within the King. That Brigitte out of the way on Quantum Charge is going to provide an opportunity here that Expandable Odyssey is taking advantage of now. Sioguli is absolutely highlighter charged, and that is going to be enough damage to be able to take out Quantum Charge and seal the deal here for Expandable Odyssey.
Really key fire strike from Melchizy there to open up that fight by knocking out the King. And without that Brig, they lost pretty much all of their main sustain, because Brig is generally the one with gold healing in Goats comps. And as they start to build up percentage, they're going to go for a forward hold, and Melchizy's just going to start swinging away to build up some ult charge.
Yeah, well, that ultimate's going to come online now for Melchizy, and he's going to be looking at an opportunity to utilize that Earth Shatter. That might set the pace of this next fight, but Triamatar just making sure that all of their allies can stay up. Hammer down from both sides here, but the follow-up is going to be there for Expandable Odyssey. Rippin' Pippin, ripping out that Transcendence here, followed by a Transcendence from Quantum Charge, so there's a lot of sustain on the table. That's going to force out the Diva Bomb grab combo from both sides, but the sound barriers are there for both. Iced Tea Drink with yet another Air Shatter, though. That'll be enough for Quantum Charge to be able to win out this very expensive team fight and flip the point back.
Yeah, every single ult on the field was using that last one. The only thing that's going for Expandable in this next fight is that Melchizy has this Shatter back online already, built it up in the course of that fight. So it can give them an opening as they make their way into point, especially if they can catch Iced Tea Drink with their shield down.
Yeah, well, Ice-T is going to be swinging away, so that might be the opportunity that Expandable Odyssey needs to be able to hammer down. Last time we saw it, though, but Evandel is going to take out that Earth Shatter before they can actually use it, and that's Expandable back to spawn.
That is back to spawn. No ult charge was really gained there. We see the King have a rally come online, but other than that, there's a very quick fight and not a whole lot of brawl came out, so no real change in the status of the teams between this fight. We do see Expandable coming for a big rotation around the right side.
Yeah, that rotation is going to force out the Brigitte rallies from both opposing forces here, and there's multiple ultimates that are coming online now for either team. Melchizy, though, going down yet again means that shield is not there to protect Expandable Odyssey on the onslaught here. Ice Tea Drink going for an Earth Shatter when they see the opportunity, but it's too late for Expandable. It is going to be Quantum Charge continuing to gain capture progress on that point, winning out this next team fight and bringing Expandable into dangerous one-fight territory.
These have been some very quick fights as far as goes, and Jax is still staggered off the side. So by the time Jax can even get back in their mech, they're going to have less than a fight. They're going to need to make sure that they can bring this fight to point if they want to even trigger overtime.
Yeah, that's a very important point to make, is that Expandable Odyssey is going to need to hustle their bustle over to the point here, but they've got a lot of ultimates to be able to use. You do have the Graviton Surge online with Sioguli, but Jax is going to eat the one that comes out from Quantum Charge first. That is a whole team fight winner right there, absolutely getting demolished. So you will have the ability to utilize that Grab Bomb combo, and Jax makes a big one. That 4-man bomb is going to be just enough for Expandable Odyssey to clean up Quantum Charge, take that point back in the nick of time.
And this was absolutely the kryptonite of Quantum Charge last time we saw them play. It's just Expandable is so good at setting up these grab bomb combos, and every single time it came out, we saw Jax getting 3-4Ks, which is just absolutely insane for any level of play at Overwatch.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of just waiting here by the point, though, because Quantum Charge is identifying how they need to go in and win. But that shield bash by Triamatar is going to open the way gates here for Melchizy to hit a big one. And this is now last fight territory. Quantum Charge is going to have to rush to be able to get back to the point.
Absolutely, and they only have the Transcendence from Rippin' Pippin. So there's very few ults from either team online right now. But Ice-T does have that Shatter, which could make the rally a little bit more effective. They absolutely need to get through the gate and touch before they take a fight, though.
Yeah, that rally is going to be a great enabler here for Quantum Charge to try to charge their way into point, and that is going to be a beautiful shatter here from Ice Tea Drink, unfortunately neutralized by Rip and Pippin's Transcendence, so Quantum Charge is going to have to do a little bit of work to be able to deal with the sustain coming out from Expandable Odyssey, and it looks like they aren't going to be able to have the numbers in this fight. This very first map of this stage is going to go to Expandable Odyssey, bringing them one step closer to make it to the semis.
Jax was an incredibly important part of Expandable's victory on that. From eating the grav on the side of Quantum Charge and then following up with that 4K bomb to flip the point in last fight territory for them. That was exactly what they needed to make sure that they were the first one to get a point on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty important here. That's going to be a nice kind of confidence booster here for Expandable Odyssey, winning this first stage of Lijiang Tower. But what does Quantum Charge need to do to be able to break the triple tank, triple support composition that Expandable Odyssey has selected here?
It looks like they're hovering over their tentative solution for it now. They are going to roll out with that Pharah Widow. Widow not so good against goats, but Pharah is, especially since they buffed her minimum splash damage in the recent Baptiste patch, it can be a lot more effective. They need to make sure that they can control the point and hold them at the choke going into the white room on the side if they want this hold to work, though.
Yeah, Expandable Odyssey is going to take that rotation behind point here into the white room. So this is opening up an opportunity for Quantum Charge to rein in some damage before Expandable Odyssey ends up trying to battle it out on point. With their cooldowns ready, though, that is going to be a massive charge into Quantum Charge's front line here. We need to be able to get some sight lines, though, from Nano Rocket and the King in order to get this damage to work. We do see Melchese's shield, though, very effective at dealing with the spam damage that's coming in, and that's paired very nicely with Jax's defense matrix too. So not taking too much damage here on the side of Expandable Odyssey. So it's a little bit of an uneven fight here, but Evendell drawing first blood, and it's all over from here with that barrage raining in some justice. Nano Rocket with so many final blows here that I think that those sightlines are working well for Quantum Charge.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried when Nano Rocket ran on that Pharah, just because, or when Nano Rocket ran on the Widow, just because if you're playing with a Pharah, they're going to have to occupy the same sight lines. As soon as the shield fell, though, Nano Rocket just was able to clean up, get all those final blows that they needed, and the King building a barrage that fight was absolutely instrumental in taking them down. Without it, you need pretty much a barrage every fight as far if you want to hold against goats with this comp, so they need to keep this up if they want to hold this point.
Well, Quantum Charge is working towards a second barrage here. The King so close to be able to popping off yet another one. It will be opening up, though, with Ice Tea Drink's Primal Rage here. And a Graviton to answer by Expandable Odyssey is going to catch a lot of people within it. Oh, with that Mercy going down, a lot of healing is going to be out of the way, which is going to force Evendell to utilize that Transcendence here. But unfortunately, everybody stepped off that point, and now with an Earth Shatter to follow it up to be able to clean up members of Quantum Charge, the point has flipped over, and Expandable Odyssey is going to have to back out to kind of hold strong here. There's a lot of damage coming back in, and so of course, as I say that, there's still continuous fighting here because it looks like Quantum Charge foresees an opportunity to be able to take the point back. So even though Expandable Odyssey was able to move in, Quantum Charge taking it back very quickly.
They really end up blowing out that fight, and it's what those DPS heroes really give you that we don't see a lot of in goats. When you're running this Pharah and when you're running this Winston, they did lose a lot of their healing with the Mercy, and they did kind of misplay a little bit by making sure they didn't touch point, but they were able to have the damage to finish off everyone else in the Goats comp. Nano Rocket getting a really good pick on Triamatar in between the fights just to stagger them out longer, and another one on CO Gully.
Yeah, that is going to at least bring Quantum Charge up to that site there from the Widowmaker. So Nano Rocket's going to utilize that ult to give a lot of information. Expandable's taking their time getting back to point.
And they kind of want to, because you don't want to poke a Widow at any point if she has sights up. It's a little bit dangerous, and they do have goats, so they need to absolutely make sure Rip and Pippin stays with his head. We do see some changes. Sioguli has swapped that Widow, and Triamatar has swapped to that Pharah, like we mentioned earlier. But they're already sort of losing this point control battle, which Widow and Pharah are so good at.
Yeah, the damage coming in from either side is a massive factor within this, but dueling transitions on point is going to provide so much sustain within this fight right now that no side is really winning this fight too closely yet. But ExPandable Odyssey very close to capping this point back within overtime. But the King going in and with another Rocket Barrage might be able to flip this back. We're going to see something happen here, but Rip and Pippin decide to play Snipe Yada here and at least save the point for ExPandable for just a little bit longer.
And that's no major loss because they're only at 20%. So Quantum can definitely take their time with this free contest. They have Far Barrage. They have almost pretty much every ult except for Nano Rocket is going to come online within the next minute or so. And as I say that, Seoguli gets another pick on Nano Rocket. They do have the res for it, but you can't be wasting resources like this as you're going in to contest the fight because you are just feeding ults a little bit just to the defenders.
Yeah, it is going to force ExPandable Odyssey to utilize their own Widow sightlines here, and it's getting really close and dangerous to this last fight territory. Milk Cheesy with the Primal Rage is going to jump into the backline of Quantum Charge and try to take out some members here, but ends up losing his own life instead. The fight is evened up, though, as Seoguli lands yet another clean headshot onto the King, and there is no... Oh, there's the resurrection. Finally taking long enough to be able to get that 6th member back online here. And the bomb isn't going to do enough, opening up the opportunity for the King to land a massive barrage to take out Darlis, the main support here. Triamatar trying to clap back, though, with a barrage of their own. But Jax with another bomb. I don't know if we're going to see any more here from Quantum Charge because that bomb is going to be able to do so much within this situation. It's an overtime 99-99, and this is the last opportunity that Quantum Charge has to be able to try to flip this point back, and it's just the front line right now with a lot of support here for ExPandable. A last-ditch effort from Evendel with the Transcendence will allow Tishkahar to be able to get that Resurrect online to bring Iced Tea Drink back into the fight here, and now it looks like the fight is actually flipping into Quantum Charge's favor. They are overwhelming ExPandable Odyssey right now with their numbers, and that might be an ability to tie up the series here, but it's still a lot of back and forth, a lot of messy fighting here, not a whole lot of focus, which means that there's still a lot of back and forth between these two teams here. ExPandable Odyssey, though, is trying to keep something alive with their supports, but their supports can't seem to maintain themselves within this fight, but it's still a massive back and forth. Icy Trent can't step off, though, and that will be it. ExPandable Odyssey taking the very first map of Lijiang Tower.
Very close on that second point. The first one was, there's kind of a big misplay in that. Not even a big misplay, actually. Jax had a really incredible grab eat followed up into a really big bomb that flipped the point. That last one, though, was just all target focus from ExPandable, just able to clean up that fight. They were pretty much down the whole fight. They were down like 3-4, but they were able to stall. They were able to make sure their tanks held the point like they needed to and just outlast Quantum Charge.
Yeah, the supports being online was a really critical part of ExPandable Odyssey winning out that last team fight because they just had the sustain to be able to overtake Quantum Charge's forces. But that was so close. In both of those stages, we saw a 99-99 scenario where it could have gone either way. But I think you hit the nail on the head there, Pulse, that ExPandable Odyssey just had the target focus. So in order to move into the next map and kind of even up the score here, do you think that Quantum Charge's team compositions are going to be better favored to our second map of the set, which is going to be Rialto?
I think when they were able to dictate the team compositions and sort of the pace they wanted to play at, like we saw on Gardens, when they were able to pull out those 2 DPS, they looked really good when ExPandable was just sort of playing goats into it. And I think ExPandable wants to play goats into them because they know they're a better goats team. They've sort of already proven it in the last couple matchups. And when King, especially coming out on that far, being able to open the barrage, just pump damage into ExPandable, that's exactly how Quantum wanted to play. They got a little bit outclassed when ExPandable finally came back and was like, okay, we're going to swap and play your game now. Mm-hmm. And when that happened, I think they were a little surprised. I don't think they fully expected it, and they were sort of getting picked off a lot by Seoguli. But they were still able to have those sort of clutch moments.
Yeah, I think you're right. Quantum Charge ended up winning a lot of the original team fights there in the second stage of Lijiang because of the fact that the King ended up with massive Pharaoh barrages. Whether or not they ended up actually securing the kills, it was enough of a distraction that it forced the other members of ExPandable Odyssey into the line of fire that the front line of Quantum Charge was putting out. So nice pincer attack there from Quantum Charge, but ExPandable Odyssey was able to kind of bring it when they were able to identify that they needed to switch something up. And I think that was also an important factor in ExPandable taking that first map. But Rialto is next. Payloads are very different. And we see a lot more DPS played on Rialto now than we used to because of all of that verticality within the first, at least, couple sections of the map.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Widow and Pharah, which, again, is kind of what we see in Gardens. Widow's a little bit favored just because that first point's very open. Generally, I see a lot of hit scan players opt off Widow when you get to like the second and third points, but it sort of depends by what your hit scan likes to play. I see a lot more McCree, so I'd say on B and C on Rialto, but I still have overwhelmingly see mostly goats on Rialto, even in Owlet, especially in Majors Division, just because one, it's goats, so a lot of teams are very well practiced on it, but two, because Rialto is a very strong map for tank compositions, and while it does have some good high ground on first point, and while there's some good vertical cover for Pharaohs or even good sightlines for Widows, it's hard for some of those heroes to be effective when you are running tanks and when you get familiar with running tanks and how to use the cover on the map.
That's a good point to make as well, is that we often see, especially from defenses, a defense held so far up at the attacking spawn door that it buys the defense so much time in order to get back another recontest that they otherwise wouldn't have if they gave up cart progress by holding farther back on the defense. So we are going to see a side swap here. Quantum Charge elects to start off on the defense on Rialto. So we might see them end up in this kind of triple tank, triple support composition where they end up utilizing that strategy. But you know what we've seen from them before too, is we have seen them run a bunker comp. And do you think that they might bring that out for this map? Especially given that Orisa has been pretty strong with that verticality, at least on the first point? Or do you think that's too much of a risk and they just maybe are better to set up for that kind of tank-heavy brawl for the streets phase of Rialto?
That's actually a pretty good point because they both did run a bunker comp previously. Quantum Charge favors that Symmetra. And there has a team in Overwatch League that has run a bunker comp on Rialto recently, and that's New York. And I think a lot of teams want to be New York XL because it's such a good team. And they did have that Baptiste option available to them, which they don't have here. But again, you can sub a Moira, sub an Ana, or sub a Sim, or there are many different things you can do to make that work if you absolutely want it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, we aren't actually going to see any roster swaps despite both of these teams having relatively large rosters. We have 10 plus members on both sides. It's going to be the same 6 that will be battling it out here. And what we've seen from Quantum Charge so far, the King and Nano Rocket ended up doing significant amounts of damage when they played those damage dealers. So I wonder if they want to kind of utilize that to their advantage to force ExPandable Odyssey to switch off of that GOATS composition, or if they're just going to say, hey, we're ready to kind of beat you at your own game here.
Yeah, and I do think they want to, but it looks like they are opting for GOATS, and I have to attribute that to just it's Rialto. People like tanks on Rialto.
True.
I really hope that some of these picks stay on the side of the offense, though, especially like you see some interesting ones there. Pharah was a very good pick on Rialto for the longest time until people started running 3 tank, 3 support composition. So that one actually might happen, but you never know until the doors open.
Yeah, that extra damage can do a lot to be able to deal with that frontline pressure from the triple tank, triple support comp. But Quantum Charge is choosing to defend a little bit farther back. This is going to give up a little bit more space for that payload to move. And ExPandable Odyssey is going to be coming out of the gates with a bit of damage here. Seoguli on the Genji, as well as Triamatar trying to go into the backline to deal with some of the supports. The King getting very, very low in the splash damage from Triamatar, already building up that ultimate charge here for the Farah barrage. barrage. But there hasn't been a significant amount of pressure there, except that first draw onto Evendell is going to open up a massive opportunity here for ExPandable Odyssey to continue to move this card. Quantum Charge wants nothing to do with it right now because they're dealing with the pressure coming in from Triamatar in the skies, as well as Jax and Melchizzy that are on that front line. They have to back off right now, and Quantum Charge is giving up a lot of space here.
And Tiskar gets slept on the way out and destroyed by a fire rocket. So very quick cleanup and a very good pincer set up by ExPandable. They're able to set their Winston up on the high ground, set their Genji up to get dash resets, and have the Pharah just poking damage at the back. And ExPandable didn't know how to approach it. They sort of all took a different direction, and a lot of them paid in their lives for it.
Yeah, but they're at least going to be able to cap the point here. So ExPandable Odyssey is going to continue to move forward here, and we are going to see Quantum Charge try to figure out how to deal with it. It is going to be some swaps here on their side to be able to deal with the damage. So now the King is going to be on the Pharah and Nano Rocket on the Widowmaker, and Widowmaker already doing a lot of work for Quantum Charge to try to stabilize their defense here. Enough so that ExPandable Odyssey is going to try to back off here and figure out how they need to deal with the damage that's coming in long range.
And that started off with a kind of a soft feed by Melchizzy, just going all the way to the back line until you got Primal up, and then just sort of died with Primal. But they're coming into this fight, and they have a lot more online for them. They have both support alts, both tank alts pretty much, and a Pharah barrage, which is the only real counter to this is just hope Phantom Tissue eats it, which I don't know if they're capable of, especially with a Primal Winston in your face.
Yeah, that is, the Primal Winston is going to provide a lot of crowd control here if Melchizzy is able to get this executed correctly. But Nano Rocket is set up in a very aggressive position to try to get some sort of damage onto ExPandable Odyssey, and they're taking quite a bit of it as they try to move forward to move this payload. Seoguli, though, is going to punish Iced Tea Drink for going in so far, and Triamatar sees this as an opening to be able to get that barrage off without that Winston bubble in the way here. So ExPandable Odyssey well on their way to moving towards the second point of Rialto.
And with that, they'll get most of the way to B. They'll have one final we see Quantum will have one final recontest at P if they want to, but they're basically going to have to blow support out if they even want to stay alive getting there.
Yeah, we might have to see maybe that aggressive sound barrier here, but it will be Iced Tea Drink touching the cart first and utilizing that Primal Rage to try to get everybody off it, buying this team some time to be able to come back to the cart to do what they need to. Tiskahar with the sound barrier here at the nick of time to be able to save quite a few members of their team and provide just enough sustain and pressure to get ExPandable Odyssey to go back to spawn.
And go back to, they will. The final resets are coming through. And with 3 minutes on the clock to cap B, that's not entirely heard of, and I fully expect them to get this. But now you have to sort of play the long game for Rialto, because Rialto is such a hard map to finish. Even though 3 minutes is very reasonable to get B in, you're going to want to cut off as much time as possible to make sure that they can't cap C or get as far into C as possible.
Yeah,
he's very far up.
Oh yeah, he is. He's actually gonna be so far up so that he feels the need to utilize the Primal Rage here, and he's getting very, very low into the back line. So all of that damage that he tried to pump out here is going to be completely mitigated here by Evendell coming in with the Transcendence. But as soon as they're out of it, Seoguli sees the opening to be able to take out that Zenyatta. So not having the Discord Orbs means that you don't have the focus fire from following those around and the extra damage from them either. So ExPandable Odyssey beginning to overwhelm with numbers and damage. Phantom Tissue getting demeched will utilize their mech to reactivate it, and Melchizzy's not able to get out of the bubble to be able to stay out of the way. So this is going to buy a lot of time for Quantum Charge to try to come back for the defense here, but Triamatar is still working so strong here. The King coming in, though, with a barrage of their own, stationary, so much so that Triamatar is able to clip their wings out of the sky here, but it's still a brawl on point without this really going in any one direction. The respawns, though, ExPandable Odyssey are coming back, and Triamatar hits a massive barrage. This will be enough for ExPandable Odyssey to finish off the second point and go into third.
They've completely capped that off of a really deep play by Melchizzy to start that. It was pretty much in their backline by the time the fight started and had to blow Primal, but got a lot of work done with that Primal. Triamatar gets a really big barrage as sort of cleanup at the end, and they just outlasted that for somehow. Very good Valk from Darlis.
Yeah, that was an excellent Valkyrie. What the Valkyrie did too was get a couple of ultimates online here for Expandable Odyssey rolling into the third phase. The Nano Boost is going to come out first into Melchizedek to be able to enable Melchizedek to get very aggressive here. Primal Rage gets popped, so does the bomb, but a really well-timed Sound Barrier by Tiscar is going to save Quantum Charge from that explosive amount of damage here, but they need to be able to find some kills. The kills coming in first, though, for Expandable Odyssey, which means that they have a lot of momentum rolling into this last part of the point.
And it's sort of reached a stalemate, and we've seen a couple ults blown, but nothing really coming from either side.
No, not too much, but we are seeing something start here from Expandable Odyssey. Wow, Seagull is switching over to the McCree, is going to make some quick work here of those support line, and Triamatar with another barrage to open the way gates here for Expandable Odyssey to roll in. We do see the King, though, try to fight back, but an expert sleep is going to take them out and allow Expandable Odyssey to finish out the round, capping all 3 points of Rialto.
And that's no small feat. Last time we saw these teams play Rialto, it was a very high score line. So we might see something along those lines again. But Expandable Odyssey has a very interesting strategy of pocket Melchizedek so he can go and steal all of your peanut butter from your fridge, because every single fight started with him in the back line until he got nano boosted, went the back line. As soon as that ended, popped Primal Rage. And they're more or less banking on that and barrages to win every single fight.
Yeah, the barrages are big openers, though, for Expandable Odyssey. I mean, if it's not broke, do you fix it? Because that was working so well. I wonder if they're going to bring it back on the defense, too.
Yeah, and I think this is probably one of their better sides that we've seen of them. It's this Winston Pharah, just because they've been using primals, like I said, as openers to fights and barrages to just slam the door. Every single time you see Triamatar, or we see the King up there with... Yeah, Triamatar and the King both were getting big barrages, but Triamatar was getting 3 4K barrages pretty much from B on to C. And it was because so much damage was coming out at the beginning of fights from the tank line, Melchizedek, Jax, and Darlis was more or less getting fed Valkyrie just because of how much damage Melchizedek was taking.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, there was so much damage coming in from both sides, but the sustain and the support choices seemed to favor Expandable Odyssey, just because with that, with the Guardian Angel for Darlis was able to get back into the fight a little bit faster. Expandable Odyssey opening up with their defense with what they utilized on the attack, and it worked to pretty great success. So it doesn't really surprise me that that's what they're starting with, but Seal Gully with an opening pick onto Tiscahar means that you don't have the Lucio speed boost to be able to micro position Quantum Charge around this cart to be able to get out of the way better from that damage here. So as the cart continues to roll and kind of gets stopped here by the defense, it will have to be a little bit of a back off for Quantum Charge to regroup, rethink, and figure out how they want to progress. But Expandable Odyssey not giving up here. Triamatar, after all that damage, is able to get a massive barrage and completely stop the cart in its tracks.
They do pay for it with Jax's life, and Jax is coming back just about now. But that's the only thing that we see happen, more or less, to the defense. Is just they spent so much time, they ate so much damage, but all they're able to do for it is make sure that Jax loses mech and dies, and they fed so many ults, though otherwise. Melchizedek coming up with another primal. Ziguli pops walls just to start off this fight, and they're going to finish off with another Valk from Darlis. So they really need to address this and make sure that they can take down the support first.
Yeah, I think we need to see Quantum Charge getting some amount of ultimates online here. So being able to get that rally online will provide a little bit more length to this team fight here. And hey, taking out Winston's a pretty great way to start this one off too. That cart is moving very quickly here, and that front line for Expandable Odyssey is completely demolished. Quantum Charge has a significant opening here to be able to make it through this first point, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
They might have one final recontest with Melchizedek jumping in and getting primal, but we'll see how this plays out.
Oh, well, the Nano Boost and the damage coming in from Triamatar is going to be enough to be able to stop this card before it actually gets there. So the respawns were just heavily favoring Expandable Odyssey here, and Quantum Charge needs to come back and try again.
And it looks like they're going to fully commit to this, Goats. I don't see any swaps coming through from this. And they do have these supports ultimates to make sure that they sustain throughout this fight, but they're definitely going to have to make sure that they eat any Ana nades coming out from Rip and Pippin, or else this might be a premature point A cap for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to see quite a bit of sustain, though. Even does switch over to the Moira, so this is going to be a little bit more of a reactive response here from the support line of Quantum Charge, but that is not going to come out fast enough to be able to keep the King alive. A surprise bomb from ExPandable Odyssey isn't going to quite do what we've seen Jax accomplish in the past, but it does provide enough of a distraction for Siaguli to clean up the rest of this fight.
And they're chasing them all the way back to spawn, and with 1 minute left and playing a triple comp on Rialto, this is really last fight territory. They'll have chance to set up, take this fight, and they might be able to stagger on the cart for one more after this, but that's what's going to have to be a stagger. So they really want to make sure that this is the fight that they take. Even though is switching back to the Zen finally, so they will have a Discord to help them with that Pharah, but Pharah does have that barrage, so if they don't take Triamatar down early, then you'll likely see another really big barrage to close this fight.
Yeah, Phantom Tissue is going to need to have the reflexes of a ninja here, because there's that barrage here from Triamatar. It will be Tiskahar at least keeping most of the team alive, and now we're finally seeing Quantum Charge take control of the situation and be able to get some of these members down on the side of ExPandable Odyssey. As that timer ticks down, they will be entering a little bit of an overtime situation here, and Melchizian Darlis doing a great job of stalling for the defense to try to come back here. But it is overtime now, and Quantum Charge cannot leave cart before they cap this first point. So they are going to need to take out all of the forces on this panel, obviously. And Triamatar is coming back in, guns a-blazing here into the backline to try to remove a lot of that pressure. It's not enough, though. The King is able to get a second rally up in this fight here, and Triamatar is going to be kind of the last part of the defenses here as Jax also goes down, and Quantum Charge finally caps that first point.
It takes them pretty much everything. They do come out of it with a Transcendence. That's their key to steamrolling this through B. They need to make sure that no one dies, but as I say that, they take down Nano Rocket on the Widow Duel.
Yeah, that Widow Duel hasn't seemed to gone quite in favor of ExPandable Odyssey too much here, but Quantum Charge is still going to be able to continue. Well, there's a clapback that we were expecting here. Goli is taking out Nano Rocket one by one, and now that is going to be a go signal for Jax to drop a bomb. Ice Tea Drink going out means that Winston Bubble is not online anymore, and no more defense here for Quantum Charge to be able to deal with the damage coming in from ExPandable Odyssey.
Yeah, it's just the supports that are left, but as Tiskahar takes a dive in, they're going to have to reevaluate their attack plan for B. And as you're saying, with Nano Rocket on the Widow Duels, it's very interesting that they keep trying to force this, because originally they were the ones to pull out the Widow on Lijiang, but they haven't really seen much success in these duels.
No, and that's giving a lot of ultimate charge here to Siaguli as well. So they have a little bit more information when you do have a couple of different avenues to attack from here. But Quantum Charge is choosing to go down main, and it will be Evendell popping out an aggressive Transcendence here. Phantom Tissue is trying to seal it out with a bomb, which will take out the aerial forces for ExPandable Odyssey. Not able to deny the res, though, so you do have that Pharmacy duo back up into the skies here for ExPandable Odyssey, and Triamatar is armed and ready with a big one, but they're not actually going to be able to recontest. They decide to give up that second point and get in an earlier defensive hold here on third point of Rialto.
And we see Siaguli swapping over the Kree for third point already. So that means they're going to want to take this and hold it as far up as possible near this choke to deny Nano Rocket any sight lines into the Cathedral at point C.
Yeah, denying those sightlines is going to be a little bit important here, and Ice Tea Drink isn't really equipped to deal with all of this spam damage as Winston. The mobility is good, though, and the crowd control is even better here as Ice Tea Drink ends up popping the promo range, but that nano-boosted barrage is going to be another downfall for the King here. But we're still fighting strong here on Quantum Charge as they try to move this cart forward more and more, but the defenses are stronger. ExPandable Odyssey dropping another huge bomb of truth onto Quantum Charge means that they're going to have to regroup and reset here, as this third point's very hard to take.
And they're reaching about 1 minute left in this last fight. They'll have a little bit more as they contest it, but it's Iced Tea Drink finally makes the swap over to Ryan, which is a lot more traditional for Rialto third point, just because it will help mitigate a lot of the spam damage coming in from Teokuli and Triamatar on the DPS heroes. And it also gives them a much better crowd control fight clearing option in the Earth Shatter than instead of having a Primal Rage. So they're playing for these big ults, and they really need to win off of one of those.
Yeah, we were seeing some swaps coming in from Quantum Charge a little bit late, though. We do have Nano Rocket going over the McCree to see whether or not they're going to be a little bit more useful here, but Teokuli not able to make it noon somewhere, which means that Quantum Charge is going to be able to get something big here. We do see Darla sacrifice their life for the greater good in order to try to even up the score, but Quantum Charge is going to overwhelm in numbers. The respawns now having to come out for Expandable Odyssey is forcing out some of those faster stall heroes here. Nice stop onto the barrage here from Triamatar. And hey, this is going to force out the Transcendence here from Quantum Charge, and it looks like they might actually be able to do this. The target focus is there, and the cart is there too. Just barely before overtime wicks away. It will be Quantum Charge getting round 2 as well.
Yeah, so they finished, but with only about 6 seconds left in the time bank compared to 2.5 minutes on the side of ExPandable, and that's a very big difference on Rialto. It's in the first place in Rialto, you can have a very good hold on point A and force the other team to use up pretty much all 4 of your initial minutes to even take point A. But with only a minute to make your foray into sort of the courtyard, it's very hard, and you're basically going to have to win both fights or all 3 fights sometimes if a team holds forward. And that's not easy to do.
Oh, it's absolutely not. But do you think we're going to see a historical repeat here of the astounding 6-5 match that we saw between Expandable Odyssey and Quantum Charge before on Rialto? We saw some miracle runs here, and it looks like both of these teams are electing to start out with that triple tank, triple support comp. But look at where Expandable Odyssey is going to try to defend from.
And this was probably the funniest thing to happen during last year's Overwatch World Cup, because this was a very good place to forward hold. You can just sort of dunk on the attacker team because it's very hard for them to even get out of spawn this way.
They are going to need to win this first fight, though, in order to be able to make this defensive hold happen. So Expandable Odyssey charging in as quickly as possible here. Nano Rocket does get demeched immediately, which means that there is no damage mitigation on the side of Quantum Charge. So Quantum Charge is going to be taken out one by one here as some of the respawns come out. Nano Rocket does end up getting that mech back here, but Expandable Odyssey is backing off. I'm a little surprised, especially because we do see some ultimates coming online for them, but this cart is starting to move here for Quantum Charge, especially as you've got this crowd control that's coming out here from Iced Tea Drink's Primal Rage. Dual Brigitte rallies here to be able to get these troops together on either side, because it is going to be a battle of the brawn as we enter in the final moments of this round 1 potentially. Sound Barrier, Graviton, Transcendence, we've got them all right now. That is going to be a massive Earth Shatter, completely neutralized by Evendel's Transcendence, but you can't leave cart now if you're Expandable Odyssey. You need to be able to make something happen here. Even though trying their absolute best to be able to get this cart moving, and that's going to be it. Overtime wicks down, and Quantum Charge is barely able to get back here. Tiskahar is trying their best to be able to make it to cart, but is going to get kept at bay here by Melcheezy's bat. But as they go down, that overtime wick is starting to go down a lot sooner, and that is going to be where this cart stops, and that's the win condition for Expandable Odyssey.
By doing that forward hold, they really took off a bunch of time from the time bank, and the cart really was only able to get to the first corner, maybe to the second if you want to be generous in your estimations. But we're going to have to see very similar tactics come out from the side of Quantum Charge if they want to hold this for 2.5 minutes, because they have over double the time bank to make a very doable distance into point A. Most of the holds won't, unless you're doing a forward hold on Rialto, you sort of hold where that cart stops. So they're going to have to be very careful and very, very sort of in their face with this defense.
Well, look at what they're attempting here. They're going to attempt the same triple tank, triple support composition. But is that going to be enough to be able to stop the potential damage coming out from ExPandable Odyssey?
I don't know. They are running this Bastion, and they look very serious about it because Seoguli is just sitting at the doors waiting for them to open. It's a little bit weird running it with the Orisa Rhine instead of having an additional support on that Bastion. They can just drop down if they're doing the same forward hold, which we see something very similar. No, they're going to hold at the corner like normal. So if they let this Bastion set up and don't know how to approach this could be a very quick take.
Yeah, they really don't want to get that Bastion set up on point, especially because Seoguli is going to have a lot of pocketing available to him. You do have the support pumping into that damage here, and you also got a double shield to be able to protect Seoguli that's been set up on point here. And Quantum Charge is backing off. They're trying to wait for an ability to approach, but without that sound barrier and the AoE healing there from that Lucio, this is going to be very, very quick. You're really not able to deal with the damage that's on point here. Phantom Tissue and Evendell doing their absolute best, but with 6, ExPandable Odyssey is going to take this one, bringing it up to 2-0 within this series.
Yeah, that was a very quick take. I don't think that has to be one of those scenarios where you have to expect a Bastion, but I don't think they exactly knew how to play against it because they started off with a backward hold and then didn't really hide in the staircase when they needed to, and just sort of backed up, but backed up without cover into the Bastion, which is something you just can't do.
Yeah, that's definitely a difficult place to be in. Like, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a bastion at that point, and it does make it difficult to kind of figure out how to approach. Bastion, especially within this ELO, is one of those characters that is very polarizing. Bastion, Symmetra, Torbjorn, those are characters that, if played to great effect, can really swing a team fight in a certain team's favor, because it does require immense amounts of focus and immense amounts of team coordination in order to deal with something like that. But
yeah, you have to really be on the same page in order to take down a strategy that involves a Bastion.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, guess who we haven't heard from in a while? We haven't heard from Spaceman, so I'd love to get him back into the conversation so that we can break these matches down a little bit further.
And I apologise for being muted there. I was so excited I forgot to turn it off. What I was saying was 4 words there. Jack's clutch, self-destruct. We saw it on Night Market in overtime. We saw it in Gardens on overtime. And we saw it in Rialto in overtime there as well. Pulse, what is it about the tank lineup there, the front line of that team, that's just so effective? How are they pulling off these bigger bang combos?
Honestly, Jax is just kind of a nuts diva. I think we've seen a lot of good diva play from Jax, but I haven't really seen any Zarya play in any of the matches. So I don't want to be a little quick to it and call him a diva one trick, but he's very polished on his diva, and I think that definitely helps. Knowing some spots, especially in plat and gold and even low diamond, if you know those diva spots, you can just sort of throw a bomb in and it always catches people off guard, which is something Jax does a lot of the time. It really helps to make sure that you just consistently can get those big bombs.
And Nekkra, one of the other things I noticed, specifically on Gardens as well, we saw Nano Rocket come out and show some great mechanical skill on that Widowmaker. But then Seoguli came out as well and just completely flipped the tables around there. What did you think about the DPS matchup between these two teams?
I think that there are good DPS on both sides of the table. So you do have, obviously, the DPS on the side of ExPandable Odyssey that forced, I'm getting my team names confused. They had the DPS on Quantum Charge that ended up forcing ExPandable Odyssey to switch their own team composition. They were that good that it forced ExPandable Odyssey to swap off of a team composition that they have played to great success so far, which is that triple tank, triple support comp. And it ended up working. ExPandable Odyssey was able to bring those DPS out of their back pocket, and that just speaks volumes to the actual flexibility of the rosters for both of these teams.
And I mean, things were actually like coming down to the wire there. We've got into overtime on Rialto. That payload moving a short distance. We saw a bit of the pirate ship towards the end there as well, which is always a pleasure to watch. But even on Night Market and Gardens, as I said before, there was some clutch self-destructs in overtime that effectively won ExPandable Odyssey those games. So they are 2-0 up at the moment, but this series is not over yet. Pulse, what do Quantum Charge need to do to get back into this game?
I think the best thing I can say about Quantum Charge right now is they are catching ExPandable off guard with the comps they run some of the times, because they often have been opting to run sort of DPS comps. However, they are losing to ExPandable in mirror matches, so they need to refine it a little bit. There are a couple moments where you see a tank on ExPandable going really deep into their backline, and they're unable to punish it properly. And also on the flip side, you see some DPS on Quantum Charge sort of back up in a way that their tank isn't backing up, or sort of stay in the front line when their tank is backing up. If they're able to nail down some of those minor communication teamwork issues, then I think they can really run this back.
And it looks like we're going to be going to Hanamura next. Nekkra, how do you think this is going to fare for Quantum Charge? Do you think this is going to be more in their favor than perhaps the previous two maps?
I think that there's definitely some verticality that Quantum Charge can play with on Hanamura, but one thing that I think that Pulse was kind of really hit the nail on the head with is that Quantum Charge just needs to be confident in their gameplay. They have some good players on their team, and they have been bringing this series very, very close. Like, I can't just kind of speak and attest to just how close these matches have been so far, because it really has been wins off of a massive DPS ultimate or a massive Jax bomb, just really high value ultimates hitting their value and swinging these team fights in their favor. So if Quantum Charge can take a little bit of a deep breath within this halftime and end up coming back with their minds cleared and a little bit of confidence under their belt, which I know that within this situation can be a little bit more difficult to do, but I think that they can do it, and they just need to believe in themselves that they can take ExPandable Odyssey out.
Okay, Pulse. Final quick question here. It's Hanamura. Are we going to see bunker comps?
I hope. So one thing that was really good in the last matchup that we saw is we saw a bunker comp come out from ExPandable on Horizon, followed by a really good bunker comp coming out from Quantum Charge on Blizzard World. And both teams looked very good on the Bastion bunker comps. I think Quantum Charge actually looked a little bit better with their sim, but they had a similar problem where they fell to a Jax bomb. So watch out for the Jax bombs, but we might see some teleporting Bastions in the second half.
Well, hopefully we do see some interesting compositions here on Hanamura. And actually, I think we've got time for one or two more questions here as well. And it's 2-0. What are your opinions on a reverse sweep happening here? Do you think Quantum Charge are going to get some momentum if they manage to win in Hanamura, Nekkra?
I'm looking at the map pool right now, and what's coming up next is going to be Hanamura, Kings Row, and Busan. These are 3 maps that neither team has actually seen each other perform in before, and when they first faced each other without any prior knowledge of the teams within Stage 1, Quantum Charge gave ExPandable Odyssey one heck of a fight. So I think the reverse sweep is possible. These are brand new maps for both of these teams to face each other on, and they just might not have the knowledge on ExPandable Odyssey to be able to beat some of the strategies that Quantum Charge brings out of their pocket.
And Pulse, if we see another Widow duel coming up, because we saw Nanorocket hitting some very, very good shots there, but Siaguli was hitting them in return as well. Who do you actually think has got the advantage between those two players on the Widowmaker?
In a vanilla Widow duel, I think Siaguli has been getting the advantage of Nanorocket most of the times, but you can definitely play around that, in that if you have your Diva help you a little bit, or maybe if you have your Mercy damage boost you so you don't need like headshots, but if you can get damage boosted body shots, that's normally enough to make a Widow back up, sort of grab a health pack before recontesting. And if you're able to sort of play around and get your team to adapt to your Widow strategy, you can do that.
Awesome. And I think the teams are just about ready to get underway. So I'm going to hand the casting back to you two. I'm going to sit back, relax, watch out for some more Jack self-destructs, a few Widow duels as well. And I'm waiting to see if we are going to see the reverse sweep here. And please, guys, just take it away.
Thank you so much, Spaceman, for joining us back on the desk. And I am really excited about entering into the second half because of the fact that these are maps that Quantum Charge and Expandable Odyssey haven't seen each other before within combat. So we are going to see some swaps here coming in from Quantum Charge as we enter Hanamura. It will be Salad and Source coming in, and this just means that we might see a bit of a difference in the supports that we see on Quantum Charge. So what does this say to you, Pulse, about some of the compositions that we might see here from both of these teams?
I know I've seen Salad play some. I don't think I actually recall. I believe Source was out the last time I casted them, so I haven't had the pleasure of seeing Source play before. As far as differences between them, Salad does take a lot of the similar roles that Tishkahar does, so it would make sense for Salad and Evendel to be in the same lobby together. And then Source coming in on this DPS role, which again I haven't seen, so I don't entirely know. But they do not have the same Pharah player coming in, so you might see some differences in flex DPS. You might see a little bit of different specialization hero pool coming out from Source.
Yeah, as of right now, we know that Source has some signature heroes with the Genji and the Hanzo. So that kind of says to me that Quantum Charge might be going for a little bit more of a dive-oriented comp, something that we haven't seen in the meta for like a year now. Because Goats is just so strong, as we've seen so far within this set of matches. But Expandable Odyssey, I want to read off some of these fun facts for both of these teams, because these teams are made up of some pretty interesting characters. So we gotta speak to some of that, right, Pulse?
Yeah, we can definitely say that. Going through some of the team sheets, they have some very silly fun facts, to say the least.
Yeah, they definitely do. So a couple of the players that you've seen so far that we've talked a little bit about, like Nano Rocket and the King, the DPS players of Quantum Charge. Nano Rocket used to be a Diva 1 trick, so seeing them play that Widowmaker to such a high value has really been exciting to watch them develop this season. And then the King, they used to play soccer for an Olympic developmental team. So now they're bringing their talents over to the esports scene, and that can't be more exciting to watch than what it is now.
Yeah, if only they had a ball to kick around on the field while they're doing it. But I guess the basketball and Spawn can sometimes work like that, right?
Just sometimes. We have some interesting characters on Expandable Odyssey as well. Jax, the one diva that we have talked about so much, owns a cat that is considered cuter than all the other cats. So I want to see some pictures in the Discord, Jax, because I need to be able to see this cat for myself. And Melchizi's aggressive, not only within the game, but also within NA, the NCAA Division 1 level, was a former sprinter. So maybe that's why they've been setting the pace of this game so aggressively here on this team. But we're ready for Hanamura, and we're ready to talk about these team compositions.
Yeah, so to start off on this, we do see the defense coming out with another triple comp. Zen with Winston, which kind of makes sense for Hanamura. There are a couple of high grounds. You get a lot of Winston cleave, can build up primal rages very quick and just cause a lot of havoc. We do see, and I hope this stays because I really want to see this, the triple DPS Hammond coming out. And this is something that has been run a couple times in Overwatch, especially this last week or so.
Oh boy, yeah, we have seen quite a bit of DPS coming out for the Overwatch League, as well as other facets of the Overwatch Path to Pro. But Expandable Odyssey making a pretty quick run here to point. Melchizi going into the backline to be able to make Quantum Charge turn around and split their focus. So now this has given Expandable Odyssey the opportunity to set up not only the backline pressure from Melchizi, but also the aerial pressure coming in from that Pharmacy duo that has been taking the matchup by storm right now. Triomatar raining shots from one side, Seo Gully going into the backline, wreaking some havoc here. It is just chaos all over the point for Quantum Charge, and they don't really know what to focus on first right now when it comes down to all of this DPS pressure. A hack onto Phantom Tissue, though, will remove those bubbles of invincibility from this battle for Quantum Charge, which means that they won't be able to protect Source from getting taken out from that aerial damage here, but it is still an even fight. The respawns are going to come in just a little bit faster for Expandable Odyssey, but I still don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, this is a very crazy, brawly sort of fight. And they're surrounding them, but not really doing a whole lot with the pressure they made. Even they'll start off with that big pick, but they finally get a barrage online with Triamatar, and Triamatar pays for it with his life because he can't move while barraging.
No, you cannot, which makes a massive hitbox for Evendell to be able to kind of get in there and deal with that damage. But the score is even up. They do have their life taken by ExPandable Odyssey, so it's going to be a race back to a point with that Transcendence. But ExPandable Odyssey is going to back off to try to figure out a game plan here.
Both teams look kind of lost, I think is a good word to put it when they're attacking, because there's a lot of pressure coming out from the offense and a lot of confusion coming out from the defense, but neither team was able to capitalize on it. Eventually, the defense is able to recuperate. They have all of these support ults online now, so they can stay up. Even with Evendell falling, they still have a rally, they still have a beat, so plenty to keep up.
Well, Quantum Charge is going to need to pop some ultimates here, and as well as stay out of the line of those mines, but that EMP is going to shut down all of the tools within Quantum Charge's toolkit, but not before NanoRocket's able to kind of get a bomb into the fight here. We do see the Transcendence from Rip and Pippin, and the Valkyrie from Darlis forced out from ExPandable Odyssey to try to secure this team fight here, but Quantum Charge isn't giving it up yet. They're rallied together with Source leading the charge here, but another barrage from Triamatar will finally hit its mark, but still we're seeing kills going in the direction of Quantum Charge, which is buying a lot of time for this defense to come back and stabilize.
That was a very expensive attack from ExPandable there. They blew pretty much everything, and now they're like, their only option looks like to be finally switching to goats, which is probably a fight they should have taken earlier. It looks like they're going to opt to keep Melcheezy on this Hammond, and as I say that, we lose the mines. But they're going to have to try and build up all of these goat salts under a minute, which is going to be hard to do, but it's not unheard of.
It is absolutely going to be a challenge, especially because we're seeing some high-value ultimates starting to come online for Quantum Charge. Phantom Tissue working really closely up to that Graviton, and if they're able to get that off, that might be a really big way to finish this out, but the Transcendence is going to be just enough for Quantum Charge to be able to get aggressive in the face of danger here, and ExPandable Odyssey is going to have less than 30 seconds to try again.
Yeah, and with 30 seconds left and no ults to come up, except for that Graviton that might rear its head from Seoguli, this is really everything green for the defense right now, because I don't think that they're going to be able to break 4 or 5 ults coming out from the side of Quantum Charge.
Yeah, there's a lot of ultimates coming online for Quantum Charge, and this is just kind of the name of the game when you do end up changing to the triple support so late here. It will be the rally first, the grab on top of it, and the bomb to follow it up here. NanoRocket does try their best, but with the Transcendence, with the sound barrier, ExPandable Odyssey is maintaining some support within this fight right now, but Ice Tea Drink going in, going ham, getting angry here and taking out members of ExPandable Odyssey one by one. That Graviton does finally come online though, and a Jax Bomb to come out is going to take out a significant amount of the defense here for Quantum Charge. ExPandable Odyssey might have opened up an opportunity to be able to take this, but it's just a highlighter charge Zarya against the world here, and it won't be enough. That is a full hold for Quantum Charge and a very different looking team.
Yeah, and that was, when in doubt, make sure that Jax has the aim bomb turned on, because every single time in overtime, Jax is able to get these bombs. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to cap the point. Still picking up 2 kills, but I don't know how Jax does it. And with that defense, it really opens up this way for this reverse sweep that we were talking about earlier, because now they just need a single tick on attack, and this map is theirs for Quantum Charge.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an absolutely different team. I wonder if it was some of those changes that they ended up making to the supports, but that was a full hold. That is something that from those 2 previous maps, I don't know if we would have expected from Quantum Charge, but that GOATS comp looked so strong, and I can't imagine that they're going to play anything super different here because it worked to such great effect.
And they are sort of hovering over this Mei, which isn't unheard of, and it can do a lot to make sure that you get to point without taking damage. It gives you opportunities to wall off spawn, so you can take whatever choke you want, especially since there are things that D.Va can do, but on maps like Hanamura, Mei can do it just as well, as long as you play with those cooldowns in mind.
Yeah, May is a fragmenting character here. If Quantum Charge is able to utilize Nano Rocket's walls to split Expandable Odyssey's defense, that might be a way for them to develop some momentum moving into this first point and cap that one tick of progress that they need. But they're coming out of the gates with the May. They're going to try to get that Blizzard online, but a wall already to at least block some of the damage here from Expandable Odyssey. But Melchise is getting very, very aggressive. And there's a pincer now coming in. Sioguli able to take out Evendell, which means that they're going to be able to force the numbers in their favor. And a lot of members of Quantum Charge are going to fall because of that mistake.
That's a very good first fight from Expandable, and exactly what they wanted to make sure that they can start getting these ults online faster than Quantum Charge. It's going to be a little bit dangerous, and Nano Rocket looks like is going to swap over to the D.Va now so that they have that mirror matchup rather than having that May. But with 3 minutes still left on the clock, Quantum Charge can basically play until they have 6 ults on the field and just go for the biggest bang combo they can.
Yeah, that big bang combo might be a lot to be able to get this fight in their favor, but Quantum Charge isn't able to leave spawn yet. This is an unmatched aggression here coming out from Expandable Odyssey.
Like you mentioned earlier, just the sheer aggression coming out from Melchise is they don't even want them to touch point. Like, if they even look at point funny, Melchise's gonna slap you with his hammer.
That's one way to put it for sure. But we are going to see a swap up from Quantum Charge. They are realizing that May isn't quite doing what they want it to. So may as well go back to the tried and true here. But it will be support ultimates coming out from both sides. And a massive hammer down from Ice Tree Drink, but he's not paying attention. He drops his shield to allow Melchise to get in there and get aggressive. And all of the ultimates that Quantum Charge use are going to be to no avail here. 2 minutes left on the clock.
2 minutes left, and they did invest that Shatter, which was the Shatter and the Rally, which are sort of two ults you want to make sure you have up. So their options for taking this right now, really their best bet is just to stockpile all 6 ults, because the defense is going to have to keep using ults to make sure that they can't even get control of point. So eventually you will have the ult advantage if you're playing as Quantum Charge in order to just steamroll the point, but they have to be able to realize that and sort of play to that goal.
Well, that's one way to open up the fight. Phantom Tissue is having absolutely no trouble making Overwatch their game. And we are going to see at least an evening of the score here. But the respawns are going to come in a little bit faster for Quantum Charge. They need to be able to use some ultimates here, especially when they don't have the main tank online for Expandable Odyssey. There is the Transcendence. Here is the bomb from Nanorock, and nothing to block it. Sioguli gets taken out of the fight, which means that they're not going to be able to have that Graviton online for Expandable Odyssey to stop the momentum that Quantum Charge has developed here. And they're charging point right now. It's Source against the world of Expandable Odyssey's frontline, but Phantom Tissue still going strong. You do have that Earth Shatter, though, that comes in, but the Transcendence from Quantum Charge, as Evendell gets up, will be able to keep a lot of people online. You do stack some support ultimates on top of each other, but Darlis is going to try to stall this point as long as possible to buy some time for Expandable Odyssey to come back, but he comes back into a swing and a miss here. Rippin' Pippin now going to get the same treatment, and that is it. Quantum Charge is well on their way to getting a reverse sweep here.
Yeah, that has to be a little bit scary as Quantum Charge just because of how it took, but you do get the win you needed to stay alive in this sort of final matchup against what I'd like to call their rivals, just because they do kind of have a long history with this team.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about that. Like, oh boy. I'm getting really excited, Pulse, because this seems like an opportunity for Quantum Charge to really come back against their rivals and their foes within this series. We got a series on our hands. That's all I can say.
I do think those 2 swaps they made coming to this helped them a little bit in the Goats v Goats matchup, which is something that they were losing earlier. They were playing rock, paper, scissors well, but they were sort of losing those mirror matchups. And I think bringing in Source, bringing in Salad might have been the sort of secret sauce they needed to keep this alive.
Yeah, that's certainly one aspect of it. The other thing, too, is that Expandable Odyssey just lost members when they really couldn't afford to. You know that Melchise likes to get aggressive, but it ended up biting them in the butt. So there's 2 ways to look at this, and I think that Melchise ended up just going in a little bit too far, and then Expandable couldn't come back from that.
Yeah, definitely. Melchise falling really early in that fight that opened up just was sort of what bit them in the end. It really opened the way for the Grav Bomb, which open the way for the next thing, which opened the way for the next thing, because Goats is such a momentum-based composition that as soon as that first domino falls, they're just able to get their foot in the door and then just hold point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens, though, as we move into our fourth map of this series. This is a potential match point here again for Expandable Odyssey, but also another opportunity for Quantum Charge to show us what they're made of. And that fourth map is going to be King's Row, yet another map that Quantum Charge and Expandable Odyssey have not faced each other on yet.
Yeah, having no map data between these two teams on Hanamura definitely made it more interesting. I think the same thing will happen for King's Row. It's a pretty safe bet to say, at least. And King's Row is a great map. I'm pretty sure it's 90% of the community's favorite map in Overwatch, just because of how many things you can run on it and be considered not throwing, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, King's Row was one of the maps that was chosen by our community as well for the playoff map pool. So it's exciting to see that these players kind of want to play on this map. And from what we've seen so far, that triple tank, triple support composition is going to fare even better on King's Row because of how Reinhardt oriented that map is.
Mm-hmm. And some other funny things that I remember from King's Row matches in the past is you can always do a Bastion teleport high ground, which we've definitely seen from Quantum Charge.
Yes.
You can always do dive if you really want to do dive and bring back 2017, but a lot of teams have opted to let dive die in 2017, unfortunately. But there are plenty of things you can run here, and a lot of those things we have seen variants, or at least heroes or members from both teams play those heroes. So snipers, Pharah, triple tank, triple support, bastions even, and all that's fair game on King's Row.
Yeah, I really do love the versatility of defensive and offensive compositions that we see, especially on the first point. Hybrid's very interesting because it does have that hard point that you have to capture, as well as the payload that you need to escort for the latter parts of the map. And it just means that you get a whole different world of possibilities. You're not just thinking about a payload, you're also thinking about the assault portion, which is what we just saw on Hanamura. So lots of opportunities here. It is going to be Expandable, I believe Expandable Odyssey's turn to pick off what side they're going to start on. So it's going to be a side swap yet again. It will be Expandable Odyssey on the defense this time and Quantum Charge on the offense to start.
Now entering King's Row.
We'll see what these teams want to play as soon as this loads in, but it will take a couple seconds while everyone's loading in. And I just saw some crazy stuff on the first loading screen, but I don't think most of it's going to stay.
I don't think so. I feel like we often get debated, and that's one of the reasons why the Overwatch client changed a little bit, because you do have jokesters and Spawn that are like, I'm going to play Reaper and Genji and Symmetra, and let's actually just go 6 DPS, because why not, right?
It sounds a lot like my comp games recently.
Mine too. Mine too.
But we'll see how this loads out. We did see, the one thing that I'd like to point out is I saw a Mei, which isn't unheard of, but we'll see if that actually stays. Because I personally like Mei a lot on King's Row. And my heart is disappointed because it is just standard 3-3 again. So, again, I think this does favor Quantum Charge a little bit after they had some of those roster swaps come in. They did look better on this composition specifically over Expandable after they put in Salad and put in Source. And we'll see if they can keep it up throughout King's Row.
Yeah, the only thing here that's different is that we are going to see Quantum Charge starting off on the offense rather than the defense. So this does mean that we might see a little bit of a different plan of attack here for Expandable Odyssey. But the fact that they are relying on the triple to triple support composition, maybe not.
Yeah, both teams have fully committed to this. You know what they're expecting at this point. And it looks like they're just going to come out with all of the aggression in the world, and even they'll get separated from the team.
Ooh, a nice counter charge from both Reinhardts, though, will mean that at least the shield is going to get taken out on the side of Expandable Odyssey. This is a massive opening for Quantum Charge. This is what they wanted to see. Taking out that main tank first has been an identifiable win condition of teamfights for them, and they're going to start capping this point of King's Row very, very early here. Lots of time left on the clock.
And Melchizedek and Sioguli and everyone needs to make sure that they don't feed too much ult coming in this point, or else Quantum Charge is going to have a huge advantage rolling through Streets phase of King's Row.
Well, that's iced tea drink in a different way than we've seen before. It looks like they've melted some of that ice and they're ready to get a little warm here. They are going absolutely ham here on the Streets phase of King's Row, and they're taking out all of the respawns as well, buying a significant amount of time for Quantum Charge to start moving that cart through this phase.
And they have all the space they want as this composition, so they can just make sure the cart rolls all the way up to that first or second corner even before anyone from ExPandable can even get within breathing distance of this cart.
Yeah, that is an absolutely good point to make here. And look at the ultimate economy as well, Pulse.
That's 6 check marks coming out from the side of Quantum right now, and they're making Sioguli blow grab before they can even get back to the cart.
Oh, that Transcendence is going to be a little bit late, though, to be able to save Iced Tea Drink from that pressure here. And that is just going to be a signal for Quantum Charge to kind of back up. I love the kind of dedication that they've utilized here, and at least the patience that they've used as well for their ultimates. They're not blowing them yet.
And they managed to hold on to 5 of those ults, too. They forced a Graviton and a beat coming out from the side of ExPandable, while they only had to use Transcendence before giving up and saying, yeah, you can have this fight, we'll take the next one with more ults.
Yeah, and that's going to be a whiff bomb here from Jax, which is going to be at least a breath of fresh air here for Quantum Charge. They're forcing out the Transcendence again, another ultimate, and Nano Rockets showing us why they used to be a one-trick diva here, getting a double bomb within Phantom Tissue's Graviton here, and that's going to be enough for this card to get rolling again.
And they still have that beat coming out from Salad if they absolutely need it to hold point, which should be enough for them to get this card almost all the way into B.
Yeah, it is going to get very, very close here. Wonder whether or not ExPandable Odyssey can actually even come back and touch at this point. It looks like they're going to try.
I wonder if they know Iced Tea Drink has another Shatter ready for them.
Well, he's getting really aggressive, so it might be a telltale sign that that is the case. But there it is, the hammer down. And even though he does get stunned, it's not enough to be able to allow ExPandable Odyssey to get in. Evendell is going to come out with the Transcendence here, just as that cart is waiting there to, hey, get a little bit more pressure on the line. And Iced Tea Drink is getting very aggressive here. This is the kind of Reinhardt play we want to see.
Especially in triple. And with this push, Quantum is really showing us that they want to set record time on King's Row, because they've only been stopped once, but they still have 4 minutes, and they're rolling into the end of Point C on King's Row.
Yeah, they are. They're getting very close to the end of King's Row, but a double Graviton for both means that they are going to have to deal with at least the standstill for a second. Iced Tea Drink with another massive shatter, but is going to drop their shield to allow Melchizedek to get in and get a shatter of their own. This is history repeating itself here for Quantum Charge, and that Transcendence, I don't think they should have used that here.
That Transcendence was definitely a little bit greedy, and it might bite them in the time bank a little bit, but with 4 minutes left and maybe 20 meters left on King's Row, I have to say that if they don't cap C, it's not because of that Transcendence.
Yeah, that's absolute for sure here, because they do have quite a bit of time left on the clock. They're going to open things up here with a Brigida Rally, and it is going to force ExPandable Odyssey to utilize their sound barrier before this Graviton ends up getting online here. Another bomb from Jax, not picking up too much, but it does make Quantum Charge stop and think for a second about whether or not they can take this fight. With that Reinhardt down, this is going to be a signal for them to back up and try again. 3 minutes left.
3 minutes left. They do have a grab, they have a bomb, and a shatter coming online, so this is the exact opening that they needed if they want to take this next fight. But it looks like Melchizedek is setting up for a bumper shatter. They're just going to just wait in this corner for the entirety of Quantum Charge to pass, and it's just going to shatter them on their tail.
Yeah, oh, a shatter from behind. You called it, Pulse. That is going to be Melchizedek getting in. A cheesy little shatter there, and that is just buying extra time on the clock here for the defense.
That was the only ult they really had. Siguli and Tramatar are coming up online with theirs next, so if they can keep cycling this properly at this choke, they can easily cut off another minute and a half, as long as they keep catching them off guard. But Nano Rocket really needs to keep an eye out for this grab coming in.
Yeah, that grab could be able to swing the fight in either favor here as both sides have it up, but there will be the sustain on the side of Quantum Charge to try to deal with Sioguli's Transcendence here. There's the second Graviton, and here's the bomb on top of it. That shield, though, at least going to save 4 of the members, but as they turn around to be able to block it, that is going to be that Quantum Charge just goes down. Too much of damage here for Quantum Charge, and this cart continues to roll.
Darlis does escape with his life and a beat for this next fight, which is all they really need to stall it out a couple. But with staggered spawns coming in, they're going to need to make sure they play this perfectly.
Yes, well, that's one way to start it off, which is going to be a sound barrier and another bomb from Jax just to be able to get back in mech. I don't know if that was the angle that they were looking for, but that was a good boop from Triamatar to be able to get Ice Tea Drink off, and then the second boop from Darlis! That was a double! If that is a way to play this perfectly, I think.
I think they just did it. That was exactly 4 environmental kills to clean up a fight. Sounds like an easy clap, but they still have 1:20 left in order to cap this. And while they have shaved off a lot of that time bank that they came into point C with, they're still not out of the water yet.
No, they're not, because it is still a minute left on the clock to be able to make something happen, but there aren't too many ultimates online for either side, which means that this is going to be a battle that comes down to what comes up at the end, and it looks like more is going to be coming up for Quantum Charge. Salad starting off this team fight in a great way for Quantum Charge, getting them one step closer to having a win condition for King's Row, and that's more and more. Jax eating Phantom Tissue's Graviton, though, even though that does go out, Nano Rocket is still going to try their best to get the bomb to get some value here, but Darlis with a clutch sound barrier will buy a lot of time for the defenses to be able to come back, but a lot of ultimates getting used here on the side of ExPandable Odyssey before they're actually going to be able to have kind of a last fight. So going into this next one, there's not a whole lot on either side.
They do, and a late sound barrier and a late Transcendence from Salad and Evendell is really going to not be good for, to say the least, for Quantum Charge, because that's all the sustain they needed, and it looks like they might not even be able to touch.
Ooh, they barely are able to proc overtime. Ice-T with a massive charge is going to be able to do so much to open up the opportunity for his team, but the spawns and the pressure is better for ExPandable Odyssey right now, but the supports on point are still doing what they can to support each other and try to buy some time for Quantum Charge's respawns to come back, but they're just closer for ExPandable, and that is something that is very difficult to work against when that is on your side here. So that's where the card stops, but a pretty commendable effort here for Quantum Charge.
Yeah, they got within 5 meters of the final point cap, so if Expandables want to cap this, they're basically going to have to complete King's Row, which isn't unheard of, but it's not going to be easy, and if both teams are going to keep running this triple tank, triple support, just because of that sheer amount of beefy health bar you have to chunk through as attackers, it's not easy.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, you've got, like, you're basically having to kill potentially, what, like 18 heroes worth of damage sometimes if you are able to stack those support ultimates really well. You know,
and if you don't deal with spawns properly and everything else. But some really clutch plays coming out. I do think they were able to cap that point off of the 4 environmental kills coming out from the support line in Triamatar and Darlis. But also one thing that really sort of bit Quantum Charge in the butt, and you mentioned this as well, is those really late support ults coming out from Evendell and even Salad a couple times where the fight was lost, they were down 2 or 3 people, and they still pop Transcendence or beat. So if they want to win this, they can't have that happening again on this defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an unfortunate point to make, is the fact that the supports are such an integral part of the triple tank, triple support. Every single piece of the machine needs to be able to work properly, and when something gets out of sync, like those ultimates coming in late, it does end up kind of starting a little bit of a chain reaction here. But look at what ExPandable Odyssey is starting with on the offense. They were going to attempt the double sniper, but I guess it's just time to go goats.
Yeah, that was one of those moments where I think we got baited a little bit because I saw it and I was hoping for it, but it looks like they used it solely for scouting to force positioning back so they'd be scared of snipers, and they're already getting point progress even though the first person just fell.
Yeah, the point progress is because Quantum Charge ended up moving so far off of point. Even Dell doing a valiant effort of trying to stop that. But this is going to be as quick of a take as what we saw from Quantum Charge on the first point of King's Row.
And if we see the defense get staggered, this is going to be a very similar to what we saw on Quantum Charge's attack. However, it looks like they're a little bit more grouped up, and they're going to be ready to take this fight on B a lot sooner than ExPandable was.
Yeah, especially because Phantom Tissue is actually doing a lot of damage here and out racing Sioguli in terms of that Graviton charge on the ultimate there. The Brigitte rally from Triamatar is going to be enough to be able to allow ExPandable Odyssey to kind of move into the front line here, but both main tanks are now out of the fight. You don't have a shield to be able to protect anybody anymore, but Quantum Charge is still kind of moving strong here, regardless of whether or not they don't have that leader. They are going to start dropping some ultimates here. That bomb is not going to be enough to be able to pick up too much, but it does force the rest of ExPandable Odyssey back here. Graviton whiff from Sioguli is going to be a massive, fortunate amount of value that's going to be missed here from ExPandable Odyssey, but Quantum Charge still getting the upper hand within this team fight. They are seeing the kills, they are getting their team members back, and this is going to be a back off for ExPandable Odyssey.
Yeah, they're going to have to recover some of that health because right now their tank line and some of their supports are very low, and if they die, then they're just going to be feeding ult. So they want to disengage before they feed too much to the defense.
Rippin' Pippin's actually going to feel the need to utilize the Transcendence here, and a bomb thrown into the background is going to split quite a bit of pressure. Double Earth Shatter, though, from both sides, and the support is there for Quantum Charge to be able to try to follow it up. The Transcendence going to keep the defensive pressure alive, but another Graviton from Sioguli already, and that's going to be used to great effect here.
And at this point, the defense has to be in full retreat. They did pop that rally late again, which is something that we were talking about earlier, where they can't be using these support ults to disengage from fights. With that, the cart will push most of the way to B, but Quantum Charge will have one final chance to sort of hold at B if they so choose.
They're eating a lot of time off of the clock, which is something that is important to note, that Quantum Charge is giving ExPandable Odyssey quite a big fight here, but they have ultimates online, they're ready to pop them. Phantom Tissue does have the Graviton Surge that Sioguli had utilized before, so there's the grab, here's the bomb on top of it, hope it doesn't get stuck on the high ground, and it doesn't! It's going to be a very effective here as Nano Rocket ends up taking out 2 and a mech, and that is enough to be able to swing the numbers in Quantum Charge's favor. A good stabilization in a great defensive position.
Yeah, and that's exactly where you want to hold on King's Row, because if you win that fight at B, you instantly cut off a minute from the clock. So with that, ExPandable cannot have the same amount of time that Quantum had pushing into point C. So they're already ahead in time clocks comparatively.
Yeah, the time bank is a pretty significant factor here when you are looking at how well Quantum Charge actually ended up attacking. But another Jax bomb into the back is going to get stuck on high ground, though, so don't have to worry about it too much. Even Dell on high ground was able to come in for a very clutch Transcendence to be able to keep people alive, and that's enough for them to continue the frontline pressure here. And another excellent team fight here for Quantum Charge.
And Quantum Charge is now poised to cycle these tank ults so that they can keep winning these fights. They're not overcommitting, and they've gotten into a good rhythm of only using one tank and one support ult per fight. So now next fight, they have a Shatter option, they have a Diva Bomb option, and they still have the 2 support ults.
Yeah, they have a lot of sustain here moving into this next fight, but ExPandable Odyssey does as well. The Transcendence might prove to be very valuable here against Iced Tea Drinks or Shatter.
And Trans is definitely the best support ult, but Evendell has been getting these pretty quick. And if they take their time in this, or if Evendell is able to get a couple of headshots from that high ground that he's just sort of camping on right now, they might have a shot to win this fight.
Absolutely, but the sound barriers are going to come out from both sides because they are feeling the burn right now between these two teams. Graviton, again from Quantum Charge, is going to get everybody, but no follow-up. And another massive shatter from Malchisi might be just enough pressure to be able to kind of follow this well and finally be able to get through the wall of defense that Quantum Charge had set up.
And with that, they will cap point B, so ExPandable will have point B, pushing into point C with about 2 minutes and a half left on this clock. So they're in a little bit worse of a position than ExPandable was, but with 2 minutes left, that's a time bank that you would expect to be able to cap a point C with on most maps.
Yeah, this one is still notorious for playing with the environment, though, so there's a lot of wild cards that will be able to play in this, but not when you're losing an all-out brawl. Quantum Charge coming in hot. They don't want to give this up. They know what's on the line here for this map, Pulse.
Mm-hmm. And with this time bank left, this is sort of the range with... Quantum Charge doesn't want to lose this map by any means, but if they do lose point C, they want to make sure that the attackers have less than a minute on the clock so they get another chance at least too. It doesn't look like they're going to drop anytime soon with this Shatter, with this Rally, and a Trans to counter this Grav, but they still need to be careful in how they play this.
Oh, but that bomb, that's another big one from Jax that's taking out over half of the forces on Quantum Charge. That opens the door a little bit, but this cart is still too far away for them to be able to secure the victory here. Quantum Charge is going to be able to come out of the gates.
Yeah, and Milchis is in a position where he's moving all the way up to spawn camp, so if they notice this, if they can take this 6v3, 6v4, then they have a good chance of getting this cart back.
Yeah, they do, especially with an opening pick like that from Nano Rocket's Diva Bomb. They wanted to be able to give ExPandable Odyssey a dose of their own medicine, and they're absolutely going to do that. Less than a minute left, and that cart doesn't have too far left to go.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, we'll get to see both teams... Well, at the very most, we'll get to see both teams take another round on attack, but now we're in final fight territory, so the attackers have 1, maybe 2 fights if they can lose fast, if they don't need to lose fast, but it's all going to come down to how they can combo this Grav, how they can use this Shatter, and make sure they don't overcommit to the support ults on this final fight.
Yeah, this is gonna be it here. This Graviton is what Quantum Charge is relying on to be able to win out this fight here and now to be able to even up the score. But a Graviton from Sioguli is gonna be bigger, and that's gonna wipe Quantum Charge out. It's gonna be respawns, it's gonna be staggers, it's gonna be stalls coming out from Quantum Charge, and they've got ultimates to be able to use here. Ice-T Trink getting stunned out of their Shatter, though, is going to force them off of the cart enough to allow ExPandable Odyssey to reach that golden rectangle of victory and take this series 3-1 over Quantum Charge.
That was a nuts final fight too, because after trading a Grav for both support ults on the side of ExPandable, they got Grav themselves but didn't pop either of them. And it's a little bit anticlimactic, but it was a very good Grav, catching pretty much all of the team from the side of ExPandable.
Yeah, I'm sure the team is shouting woo woo right now as they cheer in absolute ecstacy here for ExPandable Odyssey. I mean, this is going to be them moving on to the semifinals, but more to talk about that with Spaceman, as I'm sure you've got a lot of thoughts for this matchup too.
Well, Quantum's Charge may have ended, and ExPandable's Odyssey to the semi-finals has just begun. But can we just talk about Hanamura for a second? Because there was a full point hold there from the Quantum Charge, right? We went in there; they were 2-0 down. I think most of us expected that match to be pretty close, but they turned that around. Full point hold, going into King's Row there as well. They almost had that at the end as well. They almost had that reverse sweep. They looked like a different team. Pulse, what were they doing differently to the first 2 matches they played today?
Well, of note, they brought in Salad and they brought in Source for Hanamura, and actually for the entire second half, and it made them look a lot better on the triple tank, triple support composition. And I don't want to completely throw this out too, because ExPandable was being a little bit experimental in Hanamura. They were trying to run Hammond triple DPS, and they didn't look as polished on it as we've seen them on some other compositions, which I think contributed to a little bit. But with the roster changes, with the break coming out from halftime, I think it was all the refreshments that Quantum Charge needed for that full hold.
And Nekkra, Quantum Charge managed to take a lot of time away from ExPandable OD. In fact, we were coming down to the final fight there. What was it, do you think, about, again, the tank lineup of ExPandable OD? Because that, to me, that's what seemed to be winning most of those fights. You know, the shatters, getting the grabs in as well. But we saw a few grabs eaten there. What do you think it was about ExPandable's tank lineup that maybe gave them the edge in that matchup on King's Row?
It came down to the wire, like you said. So Quantum Charge did a phenomenal job of making it to that third point of King's Row as far as they did. But what happened at the very end, it just came down to who was able to swing that team fight. What ultimates came online. ExPandable Odyssey has been setting the pressure for the majority of this set. Cheesy is an incredibly aggressive Reinhardt, which means that he's got a lot of confidence going into these team fights, and there's a lot of follow-up from the rest of the members on the team as well. Quantum Charge played around that really well. We saw Ice Tea Drink step it up a notch in those last two maps, which ended up giving Quantum Charge that defensive hold that they had on King's Row, as well as the phenomenal attack that they had as well. So amazing frontline play from both of these teams. But what edged it out in the end was the fact that Seal Gully on ExPandable Odyssey was able to get a Graviton Surge that people could follow up on, and Quantum Charge just couldn't set the pace of that last fight.
Well, ExPandable Odyssey are going through to the semi-finals. They'll be going up against Flashpoint, who are the first seed, I believe. So, Pulse, do you have any predictions coming up for that particular game? Do you think ExPandable Odyssey are going to give Flashpoint a run for their money?
Well, I know one thing that we were talking about earlier, sort of before this match even started, was that Quantum Charge was one of the teams to upset Flashpoint earlier on in Owlet in this season, but ExPandable Odyssey still don't have that win that they won against Flashpoint. So they're going to have to do their homework. They're going to have to sort of research and figure out what they need to overtake the first seed in Flashpoint.
Well, we will be covering the action for the Minors semi-finals, but before that, tomorrow at 9 p.m. EDT, we're going to be broadcasting one of the Majors quarterfinals, and it's a matchup between Burn and the Meg. So make sure you're tuning in to watch that tomorrow. But I think that is going to be it for us. That is the up bracket. That is going to be it from us here at Owlet. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Pulse, Nekkra, thank you so much for the great casting today. Thank you to both teams as well for an excellent matchup. That was really, really exciting. So make sure you come in and join tomorrow at 9 p.m. EDT. But from that, for now, that is it from us.